Welcome to the Do Nothing Project. Everybody hear me okay? I'm Jeff. With me is my friend Andrew in the blue font over there in the chat zone. And he's moderating. And people can hear me, I gather, unless I'm... Hello, Lori, loud and clear. Hey, Daniela, Fred, Bill, Nicola, Ruth saying cashew. Yeah. Well, this is the Do Nothing Project. Welcome back, all the regulars who've been with me nigh these long years. 3, 4, however many years. New people joining all the time. 2 Susans here. Birthday, Susan saying, well, happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Susans. So you might be new. So maybe you found me through Calm or 10% Happier or some other place, in which case, well, you're welcome here. We don't do much. That's kind of the idea. We actually do nothing. Really, truly, or a version of nothing. So you can make it your own. You can I will guide a 25-minute sit, pretty minimal usually, and you're welcome to just kind of follow along with that, or you can do your version of doing nothing. Mostly it's just about hanging out together, being with people who also see the value of starting out the week or ending the week, however you look at it, the bout of nothing, to balance all the somethings that came before and all the somethings sure to come. Thanks, John. He joins me on Calm in the mornings. Nice. Hey, Mitch. So you're welcome. Everybody who's here is welcome. And I look forward to this. It's kind of my little dose of sanity at the end of my Sunday. I've usually spent the day, for the past 2 days, wrangling my 2 kiddos. So it's a nice, peaceful break. I was thinking tonight, sometimes there's a sort of theme, and I was just reflecting on, I've done a bunch of meditations on this, and I've probably done this on this DNP before, but I actually got a good amount of meditation in, because I did a thing on Friday, and then I meditated yesterday, and I meditated early today, and I realized I always start my meditations in the same way, which is just, after I take a few breaths and get myself sort of organized, I go, okay, what's happening? Like, what's here that I'm not noticing? And there almost always is something, uh, especially if I'm not feeling good for whatever reason. Like earlier today, I had this miraculous break of like 40 minutes where I didn't have to tend any kids. And normally I just am like, yeah, I'm so happy to like read the newspaper or read a book or something. But I just had this mood where I didn't feel like doing anything. It was like the blahs. There was just no form of entertainment that would entertain me. No film or book, or I didn't want to walk outside. So I was like, okay, I'm going to meditate. And so I sat down and like right away, oh, okay, wow, what's up? I could see that there was like a constriction in my chest that was making me feel kind of claustrophobic. And there was this sort of thickness in my head. And just by looking at it, that stuff became less, it was sort of, that stuff was dominating my mood without even me realizing it. Just by noticing it, it got less intense. And then I just got on with doing something. And I just was thinking about how, it's so much of what we visit here is the kind of insight part of this, the mindfulness part of this, of just being more aware of what's happening. But it really is pretty radical. Um, and I do that every morning. If I have time to do a sit, just what's happening, and I just notice the wake up feeling in my body, the sense of expectation about the day, and there's just something that just kind of cleanses the palate. Like you just locate where things are. You aren't trying to change anything, and then somehow it refreshes you for whatever has to come next. So I think I'll kick it off with a bit of just an invitation around of that kind, and then which you can feel free to ignore, and then we'll just go into a nice mellow meditation. So hopefully that sounds like it makes sense. As always, uh, happy to be with you. And also, there's chance to share at the end, if you feel like it, or share a report, or that's kind of a big part of this. It's always interesting to hear what people have to say, and I think it can help us in our own practice of doing nothing. Nice, yo. Saw that go by. You made it. Lifetime Achievement Award. All right, so as always, you can assume whatever pose feels right for you, comfortable, supportive. Might be laying down, might be sitting the back straight, might be in a chair. And you can always do whatever you need to do. If you're following along with me, I like to start with a few breaths. It's like, oh yeah, I breathe. Breathing happens here. Sometimes even that just starts to shift something. Definitely can help you all of a sudden take a spontaneous breath you didn't even know you wanted, down into the belly. So when you breathe in, you can stretch up a bit. And as you breathe out, let that be the downward motion, the settling, the arriving. So noticing that contact with the ground under you, which can be this huge thing in a practice, actually, kind of feeling that support and sitting up from that can give us a real, both an uplift or a sense of grounding, a sense of kind of confidence. So let yourself arriving on the ground, arriving right here, arriving in this moment. And then, if you like the idea, there can be this optional check-in. The question I like to ask is, what's here? Like, what's here right now? Something I may not have noticed, or something I am noticing. Meaning kind of some atmosphere in the body, or some place I'm holding tension, or some thought preoccupation. It could be really anything. You kind of ask, and then but you don't like root around digging for something. It's more like you ask, you let it go, and you just sort of sit and just see what comes to you, what you notice, without pushing for it, just in this relaxed way. Seeing what's here, if anything. Could be a vague feeling of tiredness in the eyes, or the opposite, energizing curiosity, or could be a feeling of peacefulness already. Could be a constriction somewhere, like noticing that you're not really putting a full breath into your chest, or that you're, a little bit holding your arm in a particular way, like you're being careful, extra careful with it or something. You're just kind of taking an inventory. What subtle things might be here that are kind of flavoring your experience? And you don't need to change any of them. Just noticing. Maybe there's lots of thoughts and that's what you're noticing. Maybe there's very few. And it's the march of awareness, settling back and expanding and moving back and including more inside it, noticing more. What was once kind of out of the picture kind of emerges into it a little bit. It all kind of happens on its own. You don't have to do anything to make that happen. And now you can just let that go if you like. And I guess the invitation then is just either to sit and exist, not needing to do anything, enjoying the rest. Or you can also just do something very, very minimal, like pay attention to simple sound or sensation, just as a way to get settled. Sometimes those two kind of blend into each other, the doing nothing and the doing a very small something. Can you be with the breath or the tingling in the hands or a sound in a way that's so minimal it's almost like nothing? You're not trying to grip onto anything, just letting these things come to you. mind wanders, come back. I'm never making a big deal of that because it's just normal. Coming back to some simple sensation or sound, or just being here, feeling a being, something very nourishing about getting interested in very simple things. Once you can get over the hump of judgment about it, softest part of the breath, quietest part of a sound, sending your attention in helps to get still in the body. It's like that simple thing lends you some of its simplicity, quiet. At any time during the meditation, you can ask that same question. Oh, is there anything here I'm not noticing? And often some layer has entered in, could be a feeling of murkiness around the eyes or some low level problem you're kind of half still thinking about or started thinking about, an expectation, feeling of some kind. You just notice if any of that's here and none of it's a problem. And go back to your simple sensation or sound, or to go back to just being here. It's the simplest thing in your experience you can tune into, where it seems like nothing's happening, a bit of quiet or stillness. for the last few minutes here, let's do something really simple. Let's take some time to appreciate people in your life with a little loving kindness or friendliness practice. Very bare bones, just one by one, letting someone come to mind and choose to see them with compassion, really seeing them, their character in their faces, their humanity, and just may you be well, or whatever phrase you want to say, or no phrase, just tasting in a feeling of appreciation or connection with each person. You can linger as long as you like on someone, or you can keep moving, even through the hard people. And of course, you can include animals, kids, include trees, beings you appreciate today as they are. Maybe it's may you be well, you're saying. May you be happy, healthy, peaceful. Maybe it's thank you, you're saying, or feeling. It's a good thing to do that. Good medicine. Thanks, everyone. Grilled cheese sandwich. What's here? Another question about retreats. Considering attending a meditation retreat. On a meditation retreat, can you describe a typical day? What can you expect? Well, I mean, there's so many different kinds of retreats. You got your intense 9-day Goenka style Vipassana retreats. It's like boot camp. Those can be really interesting, all the way through the whole spectrum, different kinds. But for the ones I do, I really like doing it used to be called the Fidgety Skeptics, Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics Retreat. Now I call it the Being Human Takes Practice. And yeah, I mean, it's basically 5 sessions, like kind of 2-hour sections, like an evening and then Saturday morning, evening, and Saturday morning, afternoon, Sunday morning, afternoon. You're like 2.5 hours, sometimes 3 hours. But there's breaks, and it's a mix of just like no practice is longer than sort of 20 minutes, although they get a little bit longer. Actually, no, they do get a little bit longer. But it's just sort of a introduction to sitting, kind of coming at it from different angles, exploring kind of the skills, a lot about equanimity and concentration and clarity, but it's more about, in fact, these days I don't even really top load it with anything. I do the practices and guide them and based on what I'm feeling, and then there's just sharing and feedback from people, and it ends up just being this really amazing, moving kind of thing where people are really sharing from their heart about what's real, and it just ends up being this whole invitation to be human in this particular way. It's kind of hard to explain, but all the teaching emerges from people sharing, the community, um, and that brings home certain truths about ways we can orient ourselves in our life, and it ends up being awesome. They're always awesome, and maybe that's not the best explanation, but um, yeah, that's how I think of it. It always ends up being surprising to me. Yeah, and it kind of gets you into what it's like to do slightly longer practices and how that works, and the arc. A lot of discussion about the arc of a practice over life. Kind of. So hopefully that's helpful. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, meditation party. I'm not quite sure how that's going to go. Probably similar, except there'll be three of us up here at the front. Uh, Andrew, question. Step 1, equanimity. Step 2, notice. Step 3, have equanimity that you can't find equanimity about certain things. Then what? Keep noticing it? What do you do with the sticky spots? A great question. Yeah, just let them be there. You can either, and it's sort of up to you. You can just let them be there and just pay attention to something else. And then eventually they do their thing. They may stay there the whole time. They may diminish. They may get more intense. We just don't make a problem of it. Kind of let them be there in the background. Or you go right into it. You just decide I'm going to stay with this, but not in like a grippy, fixated, obsessing over it way, because then it'll just make it worse. You just more like notice the edges. You kind of get tender towards it. Like you pretend, what would it be like to like this sticky spot? What if I liked it? What is it about the stickiness that I could even get into? The heartbreak of it, the agitation of it. The agitation could be energizing. The heartbreak can be kind of beautiful. So you just, there's different options. Kind of feel it out. Um, but main thing is not trying to get rid of them. Yeah. Benefits to virtual retreats is Rod. Yeah, definitely. Big time. And the CEC virtual retreats have gotten so popular. Um, I mean, they go up and down in terms of the numbers, but people get a lot out of them. You get longer sits. You start to feel really connected to the group. People's questions and reports really help you notice things. I mean, and they're so cheap. So those are really, I think they're worth doing for sure. And you can get friends to do it with a friend or something like that too, if you want. Oh, I'm kind of missing a lot of these reports. Sorry, friends. Uh, yeah, just hang with it in a relaxed way. Allie, I think we're still talking about the same thing. Difference between each retreat. Uh, I don't really know. I mean, the one that I do at Art of Living and Omega's, they're the same, and then the meditation party, it'll be kind of experimental. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. We haven't even figured it out, but it'll be good. It'll be. I mean, 7A is such a good teacher, and we have good. We all get along so well. Dan's super funny, so it'll be good. And then, the CEC retreats are great. They're very. Those are the virtual ones, but we're going to do a CEC in-person retreat this summer, and they're just like lots of different teachers and trying different things. They're social and fun, and you can go deep on your sits, but it's very much about integrating on the fly. Like you're constantly you meditate, you're noticing things, and you're going in and relating to other people, and so that's kind of part of how it works there. So that's another option. Yeah, this summer there'll be one. So you may have to all come to Canada. Hey, Nicole. Yes, there's a virtual CEC retreat coming up, and Aaron's just planning it's in like a month or two. There's at least 4 a year, those. All right, friends. Good to hang out with y'all. I think I'm going to finish my tea. Yep. Canada A. Finish my tea, maybe go read. Appreciate all of you. Good to hang out. See you next week. Hang out. Hang out. And yeah, have a good week. Stay sane. Remember the check-in. Do it anytime.